Hi, loved ones. Let's talk today a little bit about this issue of control and discernment. It's easy to be hooked. I can find myself hooked like that when I really, really want something to be different than it is. I have strong feelings, for example, about my well-being and the well-being of others. And so I can get very hooked on what I perceive as the best way to move forward on ensuring my well-being and the well-being of others. That, however, can lead to polarization and divide, because then I don't have any incentive to find this common ground unless I can focus on the well-being of the person with whom I disagree. It gets complicated when we're hooked. The problem about being hooked is that we're so intensely experiencing emotions and a particular story. They go together. Strong emotions and a very strong story, that it's hard to discern, to notice and to hear other options, to attend to what's really actually going on, and to be able to come back to our own center so that we're responding from a more gracious, generous, loving, caring place than the initial rush of anger, fear, jealousy, greed, helplessness, grief, and other very, very strong feelings that tend to sweep away our sense of open-heartedness. That's a challenge. So what do we do? Some of us go ahead and take that to prayer, and many people know the Serenity Prayer, and that's one of the ways that they practice coming back to their home of homes. This breath, this life, this being that we have right here, this body, and then trying to sort it out. What is it that we can influence and do? What won't create additional harm? What will ease suffering, not just ours? That might be an answer, might sound sort of facetious, like, well, that's a pint of ice cream. That's not going to do anything more than initially blunt your feelings. In the long run, it may even create more suffering. So what do we do? And then the other piece of it is, what do we let go of? What is it somebody else is to solve? Right now, an awful lot of us are grieving for good reasons. We've lost people we care about. And nobody can fix that for us. No one. The government can't give us the people back. We can't roll back time and have better PPE available. We can only practice that going forward, insisting that our government do a better job of protecting people's lives, and that we do a better job protecting the people who are out there on the front lines of high infection zones. But we can't get them back. So that's a very clear example of what we can't go out and try to solve or fix. But we can stay present with one another. We can grieve together. We can let one another know how important it is that they continue and that we continue together. That we hold on to the memory of the people that we've lost, and that we do good things in their memory to insist that justice be brought around, that there be more peace and more love, and that we give their lives meaning that way, and we give their deaths some honor. It's very hard when we lose people to stupidity, and when we lose people to bad choices, and when we lose people to something we do not understand. It's easy to get hooked. And yet all we can do in that situation is grieve. Be present to one another in the ways that quarantine or isolation require. That might be by phone, by post, touching base a lot more often by text or by email or by video chat. We might sing to one another and sing with one another or hum together when we can make those connections, because then we're aligning our bodies. We're bringing our bodies back into harmony, because part of that loss is the loss of harmony. And so we need those songs of mourning. We need those songs of courage and struggle. And we need, even if we don't sing, to hum them and feel that resonance in our bodies with someone else. So do it over the phone, or do it over a video chat if that's available to you. But do it with somebody. To harmonize your body and come back to this home of homes that you already live in and carry with you. Not the physical space in which you're living. This body, this breath, this heart you have, these thoughts and these stories. There are many other ways, of course, that we can be hooked. We could be hooked with anger, or with fear, or with helplessness. And yet, part of getting unhooked is first noticing we're there. We're hooked on those emotions and that story. And we need to check, is that story really true in this moment? And to know that, we might need to separate ourselves and come back to some breaths, some prayer, or some meditation. Maybe to just change our position, raise our arms overhead, give ourselves a stretch, shift. Because in the physical shift, we can shift the story. That we have control over. We don't have to become a victim of being hooked on old stories that no longer serve. We have choices. And if you want to do the hard work, pay attention and gently begin that unhooking of yourself from that story that causes harm and suffering, not only to you, but to others. That's something you can control. There is so much in this world that is beyond our control. And so we must choose how we use our energy, how we care for one another, how we care for this planet, how we live with reverence, generosity, awe, love, thankfulness, graciousness, forgiveness, and peace. Thank you for joining me in this conversation. I wish you well in your practices, and I hope that for you, today, there is some space of peace for you, somewhere and somehow, where you can breathe and feel at home in this breath, in this humming of the song that matters to you, harmonizing your whole being and coming back to this heart of life in which you already belong. Peace.